My wife cheated on me. Those 5 words turned my world upside down. As I confronted Sarah, my wife of 10 years, the truth spilled out. An affair, born not of passion, but of loneliness and unmet needs. It's strange, isn't it? How one small thing, a message on a screen, can unravel years of what you thought was solid ground. I never imagined myself here, narrating my own story about betrayal, but life has a dark sense of humor. It started on a Monday, an ordinary day that turned into anything but. I was looking for the grocery list on Sarah's phone. She'd asked me to stop by the store on my way home. As I unlocked it, a message preview caught my eye. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you." My heart stopped. I'd always been the kind of guy who trusted without question. I thought Sarah and I had something unshakable. We weren't perfect, but who is? Still, seeing those words, it felt like being punched in the gut. The air sucked right out of me. I didn't confront her right away. I spent the rest of the day replaying every interaction, every moment we'd shared recently, trying to see the cracks I must have missed. That night, I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Who is he?" I asked as calmly as I could manage, holding up her phone with the text still on the screen. Sarah froze, her face a canvas of guilt and panic. She didn't deny it. Her silence screamed the truth louder than any words could. "It's not what you think," she said eventually, her voice trembling. "Then explain it to me," I replied, my anger barely contained. "Because right now, it looks like the woman I married is cheating on me." What followed was a torrent of words I could barely process. She admitted to seeing someone, a man from her gym. It wasn't serious, she claimed. It wasn't about him. "It was about us," she said, tears streaming down her face. I felt invisible, Jack. For years now, it's like, we're just roommates. You're always working, always distracted. I didn't know how to reach you anymore. Her words hit me like a second blow. Was she right? Had I neglected her? I thought back to the late nights at the office, the weekends spent catching up on emails instead of catching up with her. But did that justify what she'd done? "You should have talked to me," I snapped, "not gone behind my back." "I tried," she whispered, "but you weren't listening." The room fell silent after that, the weight of her confession suffocating. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I kept turning her words over in my mind, torn between anger and guilt. She said the affair ended weeks ago, that it never went beyond a few dinners and stolen kisses. But those details didn't matter. What mattered was the broken trust, the chasm now dividing us. We started counseling the following week. It wasn't an easy decision, but I wasn't ready to throw away our marriage without a fight. In those sessions, I learned things about myself I'd never considered. My tendency to shut down emotionally, my inability to express affection the way she needed. And I learned things about her, too. Her deep-seated fear of abandonment, her struggle to feel worthy of love. It's been 6 months now. We're still together. Though it hasn't been smooth sailing, trust doesn't rebuild overnight, and some days I wonder if it ever will. But we're trying. For the first time in years, we're really talking. Not just about logistics or schedules, but about fears, dreams, and the love we almost lost. I don't know how this story ends. Maybe we'll make it, maybe we won't. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice, a series of choices, every single day. And today, I choose to try. Update 6 months into counseling, Sarah and I were making progress, or so I thought. The initial shock of her betrayal had faded, replaced by an awkward kind of hope. We were both putting in the work, attending therapy, communicating more openly, and even carving out time for regular date nights. There were moments when I thought we'd turned a corner, like the night we sat on the porch, laughing over a stupid inside joke we hadn't shared in years. Or the morning I woke up to find her snuggled into me like she used to, as if her body remembered something her mind was still relearning. But trust is a fragile thing. I still checked her phone sometimes, even though I hated myself for it. I still noticed the way she lingered on certain texts or smiled at random notifications. It didn't help that the man she'd been involved with still went to the same gym. She swore they didn't speak, but the thought gnawed at me like an open wound. Our therapist warned us that setbacks were normal, but that didn't make them easier to handle. Last week during an argument, I said something I regret. How do I know you won't do it again? I asked. The look on Sarah's face told me I'd hit a nerve. I can't keep proving myself to you forever, Jack, she said. Her voice was calm, but her words cut deep. The truth is, I didn't know if I'd ever fully forgive her. And that uncertainty, it scared me. Update 2. A year after I discovered that message, Sarah and I made a decision. It wasn't sudden or dramatic, just a quiet, mutual understanding that we couldn't keep going the way we were. The truth is, love alone wasn't enough. No amount of therapy or heart-to-hearts could erase what happened or the lingering doubt it left behind. Trust didn't just crack, it crumbled. I moved out in the early spring, into a small apartment downtown. The first few nights were unbearable, the silence deafening. But as the days turned into weeks, I started to find a strange kind of peace. Sarah and I stayed in touch for a while, mostly about logistics, dividing our things, finalizing the paperwork. But eventually the calls became less frequent, and then they stopped altogether. I heard through mutual friends that she started dating someone new, a guy from her book club. I wasn't surprised. She always craved connection, and I hope she found it. As for me, I've learned to let go, not just of Sarah, but of the resentment that weighed me down. I joined a hiking group, started painting again, and reconnected with friends I drifted away from during the marriage. Do I miss her? Sometimes. There are days when I catch myself reaching for my phone to share a thought or memory, only to remember that chapter of my life is closed. But I'm okay with that now. Some stories don't have happy endings, but that doesn't mean they're failures. Ours was a lesson in love, loss, and the painful beauty of moving on.